Welcome to the Mortuary Masterclass, brought to you by the Champion Company, where preservation meets purpose and every step is part of your journey to safer solutions. In this episode, we'll shed some light on three toxic chemicals, which are common in some of the cosmetic and restorative products that are still on the market today. To begin, let's take a step back and think about how far embalming has come. Most of us got our start using the same playbook embalmers relied on for decades. Formaldehyde, the classic sprays, the heavy pigments, the cosmetics that were handed down through generations. They were the tools that taught us how to preserve, how to restore, how to present with confidence. And they earned their place in history. But here's the thing. Just as we've upgraded everything else in the prep room, our ventilation, our injection pumps, even the instruments we hold, it's time to talk about the upgrade we don't always see coming, the chemistry in the air around us. The reality? While our cases have evolved, many of the products on embalming room shelves haven't. Spray sealers, adhesives, heavy cosmetics, many are still based on formulas written 50 or 60 years ago. Back then, they were breakthroughs. Today, we know that some of those same recipes still contain industrial-grade ingredients like methylene chloride, lead chromate, and toluene, chemicals that no longer reflect the standards we hold ourselves to as professionals. Let's start with lead chromate. You probably know it better as chrome yellow. For decades, it was used as a bright pigment, even in some spray-on skin restoratives and sealers. Here's the catch. Interstate consumer use was banned way back in 1973, and by 1977, it was gone from every consumer product on the market. So why are we still talking about it? Because military and industrial loopholes kept it alive, and a handful of embalming supplies still fall under those categories. Here's why that matters. Lead chromate isn't just outdated, it's highly toxic. It's classified as a Group 1 confirmed carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, about as severe as a chemical classification can get. It's corrosive to lung tissue, tied to lung cancers, severe asthmatic reactions, anemia, and neurotoxic effects. For pregnant women and children, the dangers are even higher. Everything from developmental issues to neurological damage has been documented. Skin contact can cause dermatitis and ulcers. Inhalation? That's the worst exposure scenario you can have with this pigment. And yet in sprays, that's exactly how it's delivered. To put the exposure thresholds in plain language, the American Conference of Governmental Industrial Hygienists, ACGIH, sets the limit at just 0.05 parts per million for lead and 0.012 parts per million for chromium-6, the toxic oxidation state found in lead chromate. NIOSH, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, goes further, with limits of just 0.001 parts per million. That's 1 part per billion. That's a number so low it takes specialized testing to even detect it. Once you cross certain action levels, OSHA's lead standard kicks in. That means medical monitoring, mandatory air testing, respirators, and all the compliance steps you'd expect in an industrial factory, not a prep room. If we wouldn't dream of using lead-based paint at home, why keep spraying this in the very space where we're working, sometimes for hours a day? And lead chromate isn't just lead. It's also tied to hexavalent chromium, the same bad chromium that became a household name after Aaron Brockovich hit theaters. Unlike chromium-3, the stable trace element you'll find in some mineral supplements, chromium-6 is entirely man-made, corrosive, carcinogenic, and again, Group 1 confirmed. It's used for things like auto coatings, yellow traffic lane paint, and stainless steel welding. Inhaling it brings a laundry list of hazards: renal toxicity, blood breakdown, asthma, ulcers, even nasal septum perforation. ACGIH caps chromium-6 at 0.01 parts per million, OSHA at 0.1, and NIOSH again drops the bar to 0.001. With stakes like that, it's easy to see why using it in a spray in a closed embalming room doesn't make sense anymore. Now let's discuss methylene chloride, also called dichloromethane. You'll find it in nearly every commercial spray glue, sealer, opaque undercoat, or cosmetic paint marketed to embalmers, unless it's one of the few alternatives on the market. On paper, it's a great solvent, volatile, dries fast, and carries pigments well. It's chloroform's close cousin, chemically just one chlorine atom different, and it brings along a lot of the same health baggage. Methylene chloride vaporizes at just 104 degrees Fahrenheit, so in most prep rooms it's constantly off-gassing into the air. The kicker? Most people can't smell it until the airborne concentration is around 160 parts per million, sometimes even 250. But OSHA sets the limit at just 25 parts per million, and ACGIH caps it at 50, which means if you can smell it, you're already overexposed by a factor of 3, maybe even 10. The health effects add up: dizziness, headaches, nausea, tingling or burning skin, liver and kidney damage, memory loss, coordination problems, and higher carboxyhemoglobin levels in the blood than workers exposed to carbon monoxide. It's a classified carcinogen, mutagen, and teratogen. OSHA even has a specific methylene chloride standard, requiring medical surveillance and respirator programs once certain levels are reached. In short, if it weren't for its historical use, nobody would willingly choose to keep it in the embalming room. And finally, let's consider toluene. This one hides in old-school cosmetics, the thick oil or grease-based makeups that trace back to theater and vaudeville. These products were adapted by undertakers more than a century ago to cover discolorations and counter the grayish cast formaldehyde embalming sometimes left behind. They relied on toluene and other aromatic hydrocarbons to dissolve pigments in their oil carriers. The results are heavy, opaque, and cloudy, with none of the translucency or lifelike texture today's families expect. And the constant solvent exposure? Totally avoidable. So where's the on-ramp to something better? It begins with cosmetic tools designed for stability, subtlety, and safety. Champion's Camouflage powder, for instance, provides a fine, translucent medium that secures cosmetic layers without shifting color values or producing the dense, mask-like appearance of older formulas. Champion's Camouflage cream, applied beneath foundation, delivers targeted coverage of bruising, sutures, or waxwork while maintaining flexibility and touch resistance, qualities that preserve both realism and durability during viewing. For structural needs, plastic surgery wax offers a pliable yet adhesive medium that can be feathered seamlessly into natural tissue margins, allowing reconstruction of features affected by trauma or lesions without the crumbling or breakdown once common in earlier waxes. Together, these materials allow embalmers to achieve lifelike results with tools engineered for modern practice, not inherited from the hazards of the past. The point isn't to push another product onto your shelf. We've already upgraded so much: our equipment, our ventilation, even the way we train. The real question is, why wouldn't the cosmetics and restoratives we reach for every day be part of that same evolution? Because at the end of the day, it's not just about creating a better memory picture for the families you serve. It's about protecting you. The fewer outdated exposures you face, the stronger your work becomes, and the longer and healthier your career can be. And when the tools in your hands are designed for both safety and results, that's when the real artistry of embalming comes to life. Thanks for tuning in to this special edition of the Mortuary Masterclass. Until next time, keep doing what you do best, championing the prep room with purpose, because embalmers matter, and every step forward is part of your journey to safer solutions. That's the champion difference.